listening to the news and listening to different points of view about what's going on in the world. And I just want to say that it's crazy because at first they're fighting each other, and then after that they become friends, and then now they're actually, supporting each other. And so that's one of those things where I think it's kind of a bizarre thing, because when you really think about it, it's like, what's the whole point of doing an entire campaign and raising tons of money and all that stuff just for you to go ahead and join your opposing person later? It doesn't make any sense to me. So what I've decided to do I decided to talk to you about some stuff. So, pretty much what I'm talking about is that, what I said before, I think it's all smells really fishy, and the whole thing smells fishy because you have this scenario where it's like, every time they do something, it's crazy. So let's make some sense of what I'm trying to say. Well, I want to say thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Greg, and I talk many things. One is politics, as well as I talk about, biblical things, as well as just like, some things regarding gig industry and gig work. And so what I have here in my head is my mask, one of my masks. This is my mask. It's one of my dragon head masks. This is the third one, dragon head mask. And so what I decided to, I think it's the second one, but I could remember. I'm not sure which one it is. It's probably the second one. But anyway, so for the most part, though, what I want to talk to you today about is about the fact that you have Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy, and pretty much how they dropped out of the race. And so what I wanted to, well, they dropped out of the race just so he could join Trump. And the point I'm talking to you today about, really quick, I don't want to take a long time, but I was listening to Anomaly, and Anomaly's a really cool guy. If you ever listen to his channel, Anomaly's channel online, if you look him up, you'll find some really cool stuff about him. But for the most part, though, he said some things that made me really think, and I just wanted to give like a couple of thoughts and my point of view on it. So let's jump right to it. Number one, when Vivek dropped out last week, my thoughts were of the matter was saying, you know what, my thoughts on the matter was, well, here he is, he's dropping out, and pretty much he didn't say anything bad about Trump. He actually said Trump was one of the best presidents ever, and all that. And I kind of side with Anomaly. A lot of things happen regarding to the fact that he did a lot of things that were compromised. He compromised in a lot of things where he said he wasn't going to. He wasn't taking any donors' monies. He had a lot of people. Trump had a lot of people who were part of the swamp, and he did a lot of things like that. Not to mention, he also had like he picked a lot of people that were bad. He did a lot of compromising things, and yes, he went along with the whole scenario of the swamp stuff. He went along with the swamp stuff. He had Anthony Fauci. He was going to pick Bill Gates for stuff. So he's pretty much complicit. He's a person, yes, but he's still complicit in terms of like trying to make sense of stuff. So he goes along with whatever scenario is there. His scenario being like, whoever has the loudest voice will go along with. But the secret, really, what Nominalist mentioned and made me really think, is that one of those things was like, when you have the thing where you have it where anybody who says positives about him, he becomes immediately like in love with, so that Trump becomes like in love with the person who automatically goes along with him. So if you say anything in praiseworthy, whether enemy or friend, if you say something nice to him, he'll just automatically just go and hug you like a bear, or hug you like a branch, or hug you like go tree hugging. And so what happens when you do that? You have a scenario where it's like, that's not good. That's really not good, because up until like today, he was calling Ron DeSantis Ron DeSantimonious, when in fact he helped Ron DeSantis actually become the person to where he is, where he actually got into the governorship. He helped him, yes, but then it's like as soon as he started running, he started calling the man names. The shadow's freaking me out. The shadow's freaking me out. I'm gonna take off the shadow there, my regular shadow, because like it's like this, the shadow is causing like a weird shadowy look on it. So I'm gonna just take that out there real quick with my shadow. So anyway. And so what happens is like, you have this thing where he's all talking about like, you call him Ron DeSantimonious like forever. And that bothered me not so much because it was like, it's just, he actually said real good things. But Anomaly was saying he spoke the truth about what Trump did. He spoke the truth about the fact that Trump did a lot of things that were compromising his stance as a conservative. He did a lot of things that were not right. I mean, yes, he picked a good judge, and the judge nominee went through, and he picked some different things like that. But for the most part, though, when it comes to like the stuff that he did, he didn't the word I'm looking for is like he didn't keep completely to the conservative point of view regarding one, about not taking money from big pharma. That was one. Two, the whole task force and the political task force there, the vaccination thing, the 15 days to stop the spread, the all the biggest debt package ever, was written under him, and they put us all into debt, And so whenever anybody points that out, like Ron DeSantis did, he pointed that out. I wasn't going to vote for Ron DeSantis, but pretty much just the fact is that when you have the scenario where it's like, here you have it where he is speaking out and saying things that were true against Trump, not necessarily as an enemy, but said, listen, you could we can make things better. Like Anomaly was saying, you can make things better. You can actually make things way better if we deal with the issues. And no one's ever taken him to task about the vaccine thing. No one's taken him to task about his point of view regarding the stuff that he just let slide. So when it happens is like, there were people, anybody who took him to task became his enemy, right? And what Anomaly said that was really cool, that made me think, he says that Trump does not like whistleblowers. He cannot stand a whistleblower, right? Now, what a whistleblower is that someone who points the truth out. So if you look at a situation and he points out the truth about saying, okay, well, you know what? Here it is. This is what's going on. This is a scenario, and he did wrong here. He needs to fix it. Instead of him fixing it and owning up to it, he just continues to pass on the blame. So it wasn't even like when it came to attacks and things, immediately he just started attacking Ron DeSantis all the way through, calling him names, calling him name, doing ad hominem attacks, which is just the lowest of all attacks you can do, because it's just you're attacking a person's character and the way they look and their height, and calling them all kind of names. He said even called him a pedophile. Oh my goodness! So he called him all kind of names. And then so for this man to say, I'm dropping out of the race, I'm going to go endorse Trump. Now, this game is not good because there is nobody fighting Biden. Biden's not going to have no competition because they made it so the Democrat says no one's going to be there to vote except for him. And then you have Trump not even going to any of the debates, not standing there and owning up to anything he did, right? He didn't do any of the debates. Now, the people they fought, the other people did the 5 debates and they fought each other. You had all these guys fought and people started dropping out of the race. And they had last one was Christie giving a clue that this is part of the plan. They want to make it a Haley versus Trump battle. And then finally Vivek drops out. And then finally Ron DeSantis drops out. So now it really is a Trump versus Haley battle. And the bottom line is that, in light of everything, they're all gonna do whatever the elites want them to do. So I'm asking for the elites to help us here, because you know what? No point asking for the political candidates to give us a hand, because at the end of the day, they're really kind of stymied anyway. So if a political candidate, like for example, when you look at Vivek, he didn't say anything bad about Trump. That one thing happened. He's wearing a T-shirt that has save Trump, vote for Vivek, and Trump goes ballistic. Even calls the man not MAGA and all that stuff. So he goes as far as to just discrediting the man's everything. Even though the man said nothing bad about him, he discredited him. Then you have Ron DeSantis telling the truth about some of the things that Trump did, that he was not there. Trump took donor money. Trump didn't help the situation. Trump had a worse lockdown than Sweden and different countries. Trump went ahead and did all these different things. And long story short, what happened was when he called him out, like Anomaly was saying, and now I see it to myself, it makes sense. They called him out. He didn't like that, so he just decided, let me just attack the man, which is the weakest way of attacking. And the bottom line, the problem with all this is that the supporters, right? See, for a long time, right? I never had the MAGA hat, right? I never had the Make America Great Again hat. We went to a couple rallies. We went to the Washington D.C. one. We went to the Washington D.C. one. We were gonna go to January 6th. We almost came so close to go to January 6th, but my car broke down that day. It's just weird, but my car broke down that day. And who knows? I would probably been one of those people who walked in the thing. Maybe just walked into the White House, and I walked into the thing, and that would have got me in trouble, right? But I didn't do that. I wasn't even there. My car broke down that day, and so by the grace of God, we missed it. So because we missed it, right? When it came down to the situation, Mr. did not pardon any of his people who got in trouble. He did not. Mr. did not do any of those things like that. What he ended up doing was, right? He ended up just saying, not me, not me, not me. All right. I told him to go home, or not me. But the fact of the matter is that, he did set it up because he did tell everybody, come to the thing and let's go ahead and protest. Right. Now he didn't go tell him to go storm the place or mess it up. And obviously we know that there was a lot of shenanigans going on, because you had the judges but the police opening the thing and letting people in, and all the videos, footage and stuff like that. Long story, what I'm saying is that you have a scenario where whenever somebody whistle blows on this man, he doesn't like it. Whenever anybody says anything truth about this man, he doesn't like it, right? So as long as you give him a pat on the head and give him cookies, he will be your best friend. So that's what happens. So when you look at this situation scenario, you're kind of faced with a scenario and situation where you're like, okay, this is the thing. So just like how in there was a person who rose up in Germany and he came to power. No one comes to power unless the people support him. So when you have a situation like this, the people are supporting him to making him become who he is. Because if they held him to task and says, listen, if you just stay on point, stay on task, right, and you don't do what you did last time, then we're going to be able to have a better run this time. Because last time, yes, we had some good time. With 3 years of really good time, the money was getting better. Yes, it was good. We didn't have to write any stimulus packages, any of those things like that. But what happened? Things were getting better. The businesses were thriving. Things were getting better. I had my job at the hardware store I worked at. I liked it. And then the fourth year happened, which is 2020. And in 2020, all these things happened, and they went really bad, and really bad because we had the whole thing with regarding this the the China bug, the virus, right? So what ended up happening was this, right? His scenario and what he did was that it just didn't. Yeah, he dealt with it and he brought it to our attention. But for the most part, though, when I look at that, I think to myself, you know what? That's something there that just he did what he could, right? I'm talking about Trump. He did what he could, but there were things he shouldn't have done. He should be more aware of, and he didn't listen to people like RFK. He should have listened to people like RFK who said, "Watch out, this stuff is crazy." Then instead he listened to people like Bill Gates who said, "Let's go and depopulate the world" in 2019, and in 2020 he even put people like Fauci in power. But even people above Fauci, he put Alex Azar as a head of the HHS, the um, Home and Human Services, Health and Human Services, right? And so he put him in charge of that, which is the boss of Fauci. So he put a lot of bad swamp people into power. Now, what's going to guarantee us he's not going to do it again? And also, the people who stood and were campaigning against him to run for president, when they joined the thing, right? When you join the person you're opposed to unify the party, and the party just is unified behind a person who didn't correct himself of the previous problems he had, you're now faced with a situation where we're not sure what's going to happen. We're really not sure what's going to happen because if you can do it once, you can do it twice. If you can do it twice, you can do it 5 times. And so the thing is, we're not sure what's going to be. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm voting for anything MAGA or anything conservative this time. I just said, I'm just going to go ahead and go independent and vote for just RFK. And so the heck with all that, because at least I know what RFK stands on. One of the important issues was the vaccination stuff. Because yes, Mister did not make the vaccine. Well, but he calls himself the father of the vaccine. He called himself the granddaddy of the thing. Muslim normally calls him Grandpa Moderna, because what happens is like he's taking credit for something that poisoned the people that does not work. It is not good, and him doing these things here, where he's going ahead and take credit for something that caused people stress, that caused family members in my family to lose different things. I can't tell you what, but they lost a lot of things. And incidentally, what's ended up happening is that this thing, this jab, this poke, has now been introduced into society, and now there are people getting sick all over the place, right, from it. And so he wants credit because all throughout thing he wasn't getting credit. So now finally he has a situation where he wants to get credit, and it's for the wrong thing. Okay, so whenever somebody brings a point of fact and says this is wrong, you need to take responsibility for that. And then those two guys, right? You have Ron DeSantis. He actually opened up Florida sooner than everybody else. He did a good job with that. And I was able to travel to Florida. My family and I were able to travel to Florida during that time. And that was great. A lot of politicians went to Florida. A lot of different things, many things. So he was able to kind of maintain and do a good thing. Vivek, on the other hand, he was a person who was a farmer bro, right? He was a pharmaceutical company person. He had his own pharma stuff that didn't work. He had stock that was $200, went all the way down to like low money, like pretty much went bankrupt. But long story short, he made his billions of dollars. So he's a billionaire able to do his thing. So long story short, when I look at all this, I say to myself, DeSantis joining Trump doesn't make sense to me, because how are you going to join somebody you're speaking against and you spoke the truth about? And the people didn't hear what you were saying, but they heard. They only heard was Trump. And then when he was in the lead, And when he got this whole thing with Alan Bragg's in here in New York, when he got in trouble, this is a Democrat plot move. He all of a sudden the people felt sorry for Trump, and all of a sudden DeSantis started to rise down. But DeSantis had some good points, He had some real good points. He said, want to change the world, make it better. And he has proof. He had proof of doing stuff. And you have Trump had a couple of proofs, but he also had a lot of mess ups. He did a real bad mess up, and he really put us in a bad spot, honestly. Inflation is a bad spot that he put us in. Yes, he put us in that. Not to mention, and in Biden too. But for the most part, though, the whole stimulus package, he said, I would not sign this paper if we don't read it. And he's just signed it anyway. And so it's like, I don't understand that. So, we went to the thing. I was in favor of him. When him versus Hillary, I couldn't vote. Because I didn't understand what to vote for. Hillary and him both for trouble to me in my mind. So I didn't vote for either of them. Right? So when 2020 rolled around, okay, so you know what? I don't like the fact he did the whole vaccination thing. I can't vote for him. But okay, I'll vote for him because he's better than Biden. And so now this time when it comes around, I'm not voting for him. Okay, I'm not voting for him. I'm voting for Trump. I'm sorry, because you know why? The thing is, like, he had He messed up. He really messed up. And what he messed up is that he calls himself the father of the vaccine. And that's something for me very bad because my family, I have family members who are vaccine injured, and people who have gotten really messed up. People who have died that I know who have gotten vaccine injured. So that's a very close spot to me. The next close spot to me is about children and everything like that. So I like kids and everything like that. But for the most part, though, my own kids, and I like the fact that when talking about that, talk about the fact about kids in terms of like not being aborted or anything like that. The whole abortion thing, that's crazy. But for the most part, though, those are some of the things that are important to me. But when you have the candidates and they're fighting each other, you have DeSantis and you have Vivek, and they're all fighting to win the nomination from Trump, or two of them fighting against Trump. And then later they join the man. And become the Hydra becomes one. Father Moderna, Papa Moderna. What happens is that you look in a situation, and then so when you look at this situation, you're saying to yourself, it's like, this is crazy because here it is. They just explain why he's trouble. They explain why he has a situation that's wrong, and then they go and they join him. So now I say to myself, I'm not messing with them. I'm not messing with these people anymore, because when Trump ran, he said lock her up, right? Lock her up for Hillary. He said lock lock up Hillary. And then what happened? As soon as he got into the thing, he said, let's just talk. I'm not gonna lock her up, right? And then he said let's give a standing ovation to Bill and Hillary, right? And I was just like, number one, that's one for me, right? Then it was like, the thing about how the different things in regarding to he's not going to sign this paper unless they read it. And he didn't read it and he still signed it, right? That's two. Number three was when he did the thing where it says, they have the vaccination, and he called himself that, even though people said stop it. That was three. Number four was when he was going to put Bill Gates, right? RFK was going to be the person, his advisor for the vaccine stuff, and instead he was going to put Bill Gates, and he listened to Bill Gates' idea. They say he's not even an enemy of Bill Gates. They're best friends, Bill Gates. The only thing that he did really good was that he stood against the whole Epstein Island thing. But for the most part, though, they're all messed up. Our salvation does not come from people, right? Only from the Most High God. That's where our salvation comes from. Because when you look at it that way, it says, people, and because what happened, if they cannot get a thing done, right? By working together, what ends up happening is that they just said, I couldn't do it because the other party stopped me from it. And they said, it's because of the other party doing this here. Well, let's see what he does, right? Because, people are going to vote for him. It's like the people don't care what the truth is. I was going to talk about the fact that, you have a mirror, and a mirror, the Bible talks about, behold, a man, he beholds the face. If you hear the word, not doer of the word, you like a man who beholdeth himself in the glass. You look in the glass, right? Looking at yourself in the mirror. And he goeth his way and forget what manner of man he is. So Vivek and DeSantis were mirrors to show what was wrong, and they spoke out what the people need. The people need these truths, right? And the MAGA people, they didn't. Not MAGA people, the people who are just all Trump crazy. They're like saying, you know what? We want Trump because Trump's gonna fix it. Well, remember, Trump kind of made the problems, So I don't know how he's going to solve this thing here, because he made a lot of the problems, right? They're going to say it's other people, but no. Yeah, they messed him up with the Russia collusion thing. They messed him up with his personal life stuff. They messed him up with all these things, yeah. And so, yeah, when it came to the thing, this COVID-19, when it came to that, he did the best he could. Yes, he could. It was kind of a new for all of us, but then the worst thing he did was that he shut down the economy. He shut it down 15 days. He even started yelling at everybody else for they should shut it down too. And they went along with that. And long story short, here we are. And so when in the midst of that, they opened it up for the ballots. The ballots happened, and he lost the election. He lost it. And then he said, no, I didn't lose it. It was stolen. And so he was like, it was stolen from me. It was stolen from me. So he's saying it's stolen from him and all that stuff. And then so people went out to go fight and defend him. And when it came to him defending them, like Assange or even Snowden, or even people like Alex Jones, when he went to bat for him, he didn't go to bat for them. So, and when it came to pardon, he didn't pardon anybody. So I'm just like, you know what? Just he pardoned anybody but his rival. And he's like, so no, not this time. Not for me. Not me. Unless, something miraculous happens. Like, he says, I take ownership for the stuff I did. I did it wrong. I shouldn't have been called the father of this and this and that. No. And even the guys who speak the truth, they get beat up too. So anyone who speaks the truth is considered a name call this person disanctimonious, or Vivek is, what do you call it, this and that, and I don't know. So I'm just looking at that and saying to myself, I just can't mess with this stuff anymore. I'm just gonna let it go, because at the end of the day, it's just like they're gonna do whatever the elite's gonna do. So I'm appeal to elites, please stop the problems. Please, elites and the bankers out there in the world, can you please just help us as people? What are you gonna do? Because you guys run the country anyway, right? What you guys can do for us, you can just go ahead and deal with some of the problems that we are facing here. Deal with some of the problems, like for example, help with the the situation with regarding our cities and regarding our nation and regarding the fact that there's a lot of crime happening. Maybe you guys can put some new police and or new situation. I know you guys want to rule the world and the World Economic Forum, WEF, backwards is FEW. So few is the F A B C D F F. So few FEW backwards is few. They just want to rule the world, and I know Georgia Guide's done stuff, but for the most part, what I'm trying to say is that just help people out, right? Just give us an opportunity to not be like taken over and be guinea pigs for your whatever agenda you have next, your 2030, whatever. But for the most part, though, just I know you guys put Trump in there so people just lay down and be rolled over by whatever, because at first it was like, okay, hey, maybe he'll be a change, but no, he just made the swamp a little deeper, So I just pray that somebody else wins, like RFK. Maybe RFK will win and make it better, but we know it's not about him, it's about the administration, and Trump just makes people crazy. So I don't know, look at that and say, well, maybe he'll, somebody else will come along. All right, that's all I got to say. I just want to say that because, what happens is that the MAGA group was going to go ahead and just kind of vote for him because they just want Trump, but, they think he's going to save, but no one person can save unless it's Jesus. Jesus is the only one who can save us because he's the one who died and cross for our sin, and he conquered life and death, okay? He conquered death. If you conquer death, there's nothing less that can hold you back. So that's the one we trust. But for the most part, though, it's like the guy's playing a game. He's playing some kind of game. And yeah, there was no wars during the time, and that was good. But for the most part, he's playing a game that I just don't understand how anybody can win this game because, he got donor money. He's getting paid to all that stuff. Big Pharma was in his back pocket, or he was in back pocket of Big Pharma, and they've got to push all these jabs and ventilators and things like that and charge the taxpayers, all the taxpayers, and they printed more money than Obama and did more all that stuff. So when you look at this how it all plays out, it's really, you're not sure, both sides are playing the game. So with that, I just want to say I'm going to put my mask back on and I just want to say, thank you for watching. And for the most part, though, when you go out to vote, just make sure that you vote for truth, because I don't know, people that just don't want truth. They just want to vote for something. I'm not sure what it is. So take care now. I wish you all the best, and God bless you. All right, so let's say thank you so much for just, hanging in there with me. So I want to say bye. God bless.